coming and joining us today and welcoming this fantastic author. We are so happy to have her back in the store, this time as an author. So thank you so much. After the talking portion, Trisha will be here signing. Thank you so much for coming. I will hand it over to Trisha. Trisha.
All right. I don't know if I should. You guys want me to stand or sit? Stand? Okay. I'm going to stand. I have notes that I'm going to try and follow. We'll see what happens. The first thing I wanted to say is thank you to everyone that has come and has been a part of this book process and known me. I know that Amanda has read a copy like way long time ago, many drafts ago. And I've just known a lot of you, obviously. This front row is my family, so I've known them forever. But so I did work at this Barnes & Noble back when I first found out I was pregnant with Zoe. Zoe's my daughter, for anyone that doesn't know. She's 15 and a half. That's when I worked at this store. So this is a true full circle moment of coming back here, as I used to set up for, I think it was like Elizabeth George came and signed books here one year, and I helped set up for that. Writing journey, when I was in 5th grade, sorry, just checking to make sure my son's paying attention. I had to write an essay, which was, it could be on anything, I think, but I wrote about my cat named Lovey that had recently passed away from leukemia. And what happened, it was like a read around. So everyone in the class got to read everyone's essay, and they like gave it a rating. And my essay ended up being one of the favorites in the class. And I was forced, as being a very shy person, to stand in front of the class and read it. But that moment made me realize how my words could affect other people and make them feel emotions and things like that. And then I was kind of struck by that point on, like I wanted to be a writer. So then I did all the things. I wrote poetry, I wrote fan fiction for the New Kids on the Block. I'm dating myself big time with that, but literally would meet up with Joey McIntyre and go on concert with them and things like that. And I also wrote young adult novels. I still have them. Didn't try and get them published or anything, but so I've been writing for a really long time. My sister here, Brooke, was essentially my first fan. And if you guys haven't read the acknowledgments, she is in here as, she made me promise, I think, I don't even know how old she was, 8 maybe, to dedicate my first book to her. And I did. So it's also dedicated to my kids, but she was the first one. So I very much appreciate her. She would reread my stories. These two read them too, obviously, but I did handwrite. I handwrote this. The first draft of this was handwritten. Same time to decide what I wanted to do as a major and where I wanted to do for a career. The only thing I could think of was I want to be a writer. So I went to school and got 2 degrees in creative writing. So I got my bachelor's in creative writing, which actually was an emphasis in poetry, oddly enough. And then once that was done, I was like, still don't know what I want to do. I'm gonna go get my master's degree. So I got my master's degree. At that time, I moved out to Long Beach, and I was working at the Barnes & Noble in Cerritos. So Meg and Tammy and Stephanie is here somewhere, hired me. And then I worked at Barnes & Noble for 9 years after that. Well, 5 Barnes & Nobles. And then I got to the point where my daughter was almost 1. I did not want to work retail hours anymore. It was just too much. So I went and got my day job. At that time, I got the idea for this book. So the idea that I woke up with one day was, what if someone that had a crush on someone forever finally chose her, but then he died? That was what came to me, and that's what obviously stuck, which is the much of the book, obviously. Everything else changed and things like that, but that always remained. So I hand wrote the book before I went to work at the MasterCar. I sat in my car. I went early because I had a youngster. Joe would stay home with Zoe. and filled 2 notebooks with it. Then I bought myself a laptop and I typed it up. And then I didn't really do much with it. I do think I sent it out to some people to read, and people gave me ideas and told me things about it, and then it sat. And I had Hunter, and life erupted in various ways, and I would work on it every couple of years, and then it kind of just sat. So then, come COVID time, I get to work from home. I don't have to commute. The kids are getting somewhat older. I have time. I can go into my room and I can write this book. I hired myself a writing coach to hold me accountable, because I very much am a person that's like, if you tell me I have a deadline and someone is waiting for something, I am gonna make it happen. And I knew I needed that. So I spent time with her. She did edits. She did all these, she helped me with all these things. I finished it. And then I waited. I tried to find some agents. I think I sent out 40 emails to agents, and I grew very tired of the process. It was almost like, if anyone's done online dating, it's like you can get ghosted, you get your generic form responses, you get all the things. So it wasn't going anywhere. And then I waited. And then I was like, why? I'm just gonna self-publish it. So I did self-publish this book. And I'm glad I did. I got to choose everything about this book. No one told me you have to change this, you have to change that. I got to pick my cover designer. I got to make every single decision about this book. So I love this cover. Okay, so the thing about self-publishing a book is it's very hard because you have to do everything yourself. I am my marketer, I am a publicist, even though Meg is helping me by sharing all of my social media posts. It's not easy. I'm trying to go viral on TikTok. I'm up to over 1,000 followers. I have not gone viral yet. But I still can. I'm holding out hope. So I've done various things to try and promote myself and my book, TikTok being one of them. I've donated books to free libraries, hoping that people would find the book and read it and spread it around and it would take off. I set a goal for myself to reach 1,000 readers this year, and I still aim to meet that. I'm probably a little below 300, I think. But I've got an audiobook out now, which I narrated myself. The best way for you to help an indie author is, if you've read the book, is to write a review, and any social media posts you see me, share, like, comment, share. It helps. It spreads the word. Okay, so Somewhere Between Dandelions, I already most of you have read the book. Claire Goodnight essentially is all alone in the world. She was raised by her grandmother. Her mother's an alcoholic who was really apathetic towards her for various reasons, which are uncovered in the book. And she's had a crush on Finn for forever. She makes wishes on dandelions for him. Finally, her wish comes true. They have an amazing first date. And I'm not giving anything away here because clearly he's a ghost on the cover, and I talk about it on the back. He dies, but she can see his ghost. So that is the gist of the novel. So I wanted to read a little bit of it. I think I'm going to sit down for the reading portion. I love seeing all these faces, though, that I have not seen in a long time. It's so cool, but I'm not going to be able to see you as well. So I am going to read a little bit of chapter 1 just to kind of get you guys into the mode. And Brooke is like literally right in front of me here. I'm being supported. And Amanda, I can see, and Sarah, and Yvonne, like all these people. It's so cool. Okay. Wishes don't come true. Not the ones made on candles pushed into birthday cakes, or those whispered in the dark with hands pressed together. Especially not the ones made on dandelions. Yet here I was, once again, being pulled forward by my ache for something more. I stepped onto the grass, my shoes sinking into the soft dirt, still moist from the recent and rare California rains, and reached for the puffed up dandelion just off the path. I spun the soft green stem around, eyeing the perfection of the individual spores. Raising it to my mouth, I pictured Finn's familiar face, then twisted the stem between my fingers and blew until all the tiny white parachutes spun away on the breeze. Once again, my hope was in the hands of the universe to do or not do with it as it wanted. With the empty stem tucked between my fingers, I returned to the sidewalk. Absence floated beside me like a shadow as I followed the splintered cracks in the pavement on the way to my locker. The sound of Finn's voice calling goodbye to someone drifted in my direction, interrupting my thoughts. Before I could catch a glimpse of him, he was beside me. The dandelion in my hand was barely cold from my wish. One wrong move could jinx everything. I pretended not to notice him. Good night. Finn was the only person who called me this, and had since 3rd grade. When the teacher called Claire goodnight during roll call, Finn had turned in his seat, searching for the girl with a strange last name. Later at recess, he told me my last name was cool and asked if he could call me that instead of Claire. With a slight nod, I granted him permission. A crooked-toothed smile filled his face as he ran away to the playground. He pulled a piece of my heart with him. Now I'm going to fast forward to chapter 5. So, once again, as I said, I'm not giving anything away because we know that Finn dies. So at this point, I guess I should describe a little bit for those that haven't read it. They have already had their first date. And it was a really amazing first date, and she thought her life was kind of going to change from this. So this is following that date. Standing outside English class on Monday morning, I willed my phone to vibrate. Hours had passed since my last text to Finn. Still no reply. Any minute he turned the corner, smiling when he saw me with a perfect excuse for his delay. When he didn't appear, dread bubbled within me. Inside the classroom, Finn's desk was the only one empty, and like a spotlight directed at the action at a dark theater, it was all I could see. I sat heavily on my seat. Miss Duncan pulled the door closed. Her heels clicked across the floor. Something wasn't right. My mind rattled off reasons for his absence. Maybe his car broke down or he'd woken up feeling too sick to come to school. But those things wouldn't have prevented him from texting me. When Mrs. Duncan called my name during roll call, I half raised my hand. If Finn wasn't here, I didn't want to be either. As Miss Duncan neared his name, my heartbeat quickened. Finn? She looked up. She made a mark on the paper before moving on. The meaning of his absence was lost on everyone but me. I zoned out and checked my phone repeatedly. It remained notification-free. A knowing pulled at my heart. Believing in a happily ever after for me and Finn had been stupid. Halfway through the period, a kid in the back of the room gasped, then whispered something to someone. There was another gasp. Care to share what's going on back there? The teacher asked. This is insane, the boy said. I was scrolling on Facebook. Sorry, Mrs. D. And there's this post from Finn's best friend, David. My neck swiveled owl-like toward the sound of Finn's name. The blood in my veins stopped flowing. I gripped the edge of my desk. A girl in the front row looked at her phone. Oh my God. What's happened? Someone asked. He's dead, someone else said. I never spoke in class unless I'd been called upon, but now I screamed. Who's dead? Finn, the boy at the back of the room said. The class erupted into a flurry of noise and movement. He was fine on Friday, someone said. He was. I saw him then too. No way, another voice said. I snatched the phone out of the hand of the person next to me and read the post. David Thomas, feeling heartbroken. I can't believe it. I'm in complete shock. Finn died in his sleep last night. This doesn't feel real. I love you forever, man. My ears buzzed. The words reached me like hands, plucking out my heart and tearing it into two uneven, bloody pieces before shoving it back inside, forever changed. This isn't some sort of prank, is it? Miss Duncan asked. Who would joke about something like that? The boy asked. Okay, let's settle down, she said. No one did. I dropped the phone on my desk. It bounced and clattered to the floor. Hey, the owner bent to pick it up. I grabbed my stuff and stood, pushing my way through the aisle, kicking feet and backpacks. A wail seared through the hallway as I exited the classroom. I raised my hand to my mouth to be sure the screech wasn't coming from me, but my jaw was clenched. Kelly's back was pressed against a wall, her hands clutched at her hair. friends surrounding her. My empty stomach wrenched. I envied her outward release, the comfort she instantly received, and the fact that everyone knew how much Finn meant to her. Now no one would know what he meant to me. I covered my ears and ran from her shrieks. He was so alive. There'd been no warning of this, only the voice inside my head telling me it was too good to be real. Like that Emily Dickinson quote, my hope for what Finn and I could have been no longer had feathers. It had crashed to the ground, dead like him. Yards from where Finn had asked me out, I dropped to my knees and threw up the little bit I'd eaten that morning. As I wiped my mouth, I noticed 2 dandelions side by side, mocking me. Maybe they were just weeds, like Lisa had always said. Pulling them from the ground, I squished them in my fist, then shredded them to pieces with my fingers, and tossed the remains in with my vomit. F dandelions, F everything. How could he just be gone? In my car, the world spun around me. I held onto the wheel, going nowhere. Bells rang, classes resumed, then ended. My internet searches were useless. There was no new information about Finn or what had taken him away from me. I remained in my car until the school day ended and the parking lot was empty. It was as if everyone else had given up that maybe he would show up after all. Driving away wouldn't make me feel better or change the fact that Finn was gone. But I couldn't stay there forever. Instead, I got out of my car and began to run, not stopping until I reached the empty field, acres and acres wide, a few blocks away from home. I stumbled through the dirt and weeds. The sharp sticks scratched at my ankles and caught on my socks. I tripped over the uneven ground filled with gopher holes, but didn't stop running until my chest heaved. Tears raced down my cheeks and snot ran from my nose. I rubbed my sweatshirt across my face, breathing in and out in short, quick bursts. Then, there in the middle of the forgotten field, I released my own screams, louder, angrier, and more broken than Kelly's. I bent down and picked up handfuls of dirt, pebbles, and weeds, then spun around, tossing it all away like tiny grenades, screaming skyward, "Why do you take everyone away?" In response, the clouds slowly floated across the blue sky as if nothing had changed. The earth had continued to rotate after Mimi died, and it wouldn't stop for Finn either. All right, I'm gonna stop there. So if you have not read it, go get it and read it. So what is next for me? I am going to write a sequel of sorts. In which we follow Finn to the afterlife, and I don't know much beyond that at this point. I have an idea of what's going to happen. Claire will make some appearances, but that is my plan. I also have high hopes for this book that someone's going to buy it, make it into a movie. Andy, find some contacts. Meg, anyone that has a contact in the movie industry. Tammy. Yeah, okay. TV series, movie, whatever. It can be anything. And I'm just going to keep promoting this. Someone told me that I will be promoting this for the rest of my life, and I guess I will. What I wanted to say is that kind of dreams don't have expiration dates. So if you guys all have a dream, it doesn't matter how old we are and how old we become and how long it takes us to do something. It took me 15 years to get this book out into the world, from my hand scribbles to this, almost as long as Zoe's been alive, essentially. So don't give up. If you have a dream, you can do it at whatever age you are. Now, if you have any questions, Meg?
You mentioned poetry in your training. Is that why this reminds me of an old Irish saying? I'm part Irish, so there's always more lost love. Not that in Ireland there's lost love or battle. And while I was reading, I was thinking historically embraced anywhere. And so do you think that, have you ever had that influence you, or like to tell this kind of tale?
No, I think really, I tried to, like, my writing coach, I don't know if you guys heard the question, it was basically her, she said it reminded her of an Irish poem, an Irish tale. I did not read any Irish poems or Irish tales, so it wouldn't be that, but I think what I tried to do and what my writing coach told me is that I had a poetic voice. I mean, I used to write poems, and she said, use your poetic voice. So I tried to do that in various parts. Like you will notice that I use poetic language throughout sometimes when I'm describing things. So it wasn't influenced by that, but good question. Oh, yes, Bill.
Have you made a commitment on dedication of your second book?
I haven't. Are you asking for that? Okay. Nancy.
Did you do a lot of research on the afterlife or any of that to help you? I've just started the book this morning, so I'm a few chapters in, but it looks like it's interesting perspective.
I have, yeah. Nancy, if you guys didn't hear, asked if I had done research on the afterlife to write this book. I didn't intentionally do research, but I am very interested in like near-death experiences and things like that. So I had read books like that, which did come into play with this. And I'm doing more reading on things to really dive in because I'm fully going up there to the afterlife. So I am doing more research on that, and I've read some cool books. It's very interesting. It's, yeah.
This is passage. You kind of read in different formats, different ways, healing and maybe not healing. So was that based on experience or was that based on other things? Because you handled that very well.
Thank you. So if you guys didn't hear, she was asking if I had experienced grief sort of that has experienced in the book. So she loses her grandmother, she loses Finn. Her mom never really was connected with her. I didn't have any experiences like that. I mean, I lost my grandparents, and I was there very near there for two of them as they died. I sat with which is why I put my Larson on here was because of my papa, and I'm gonna start crying, so I'm really gonna try not to do that. Brittany's like, don't do it. I sat with him the whole night before he passed away and held his hand, but I have, and like my aunt passed away, and I had the cousin that passed away. So in those ways, like it's not been like as close as it has been to her. It's an interesting thing that I always would think every time someone died is how life just keeps going, right? Like I say, like the clouds continue to move across the sky even though that person is never here anymore. So that was a lot of what that came from, is like, why is life continuing to move on when I no longer have this person or this thing or anything like that? So that's, I don't know, I guess I just pulled it from that. Yes?
Did you write this book by hand because you didn't have a computer? or did you just like write it and come back to it?
I think I did. Did we have a computer? We had a computer, but I think we had like a desktop computer. I think the main reason was I had handwritten, like Brooke said, I had handwritten everything that I ever, like when I started writing, I was handwriting things, and I think it feels more, I would say, genuine, authentic, or like more connected to myself when I'm handwriting something. So I think that's part of it. Like there's less of a, I don't know, a connection to something more when you're just typing on the computer, if that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see because I am with this next book. I think I'm just gonna try writing it on computer. We'll see how it goes. Yes, Tammy.
First, I want to say, we've known each other for 24 years. And very early on, you asked me to read a copy of the book. Actually, you asked me to read a copy a couple of times. And I always said no. Because I love you so much. And I'm a very honest person. And I was afraid that I wouldn't like it. And then what? What would I say?
Oh, it makes sense.
I still haven't read it. But my granddaughter, who's a young adult, has read it. She says, oh, Grandma, you have to read it. You know, so I'm going to read it for sure. My question is as you got feedback from people that care about you, how did that feel if it wasn't always positive?
to be honest, I didn't really get any feedback that wasn't positive. I don't remember you guys ever telling me anything that was like, I don't like that. I think they were just very supportive, and that's hard because what I'm trying to do is, now that I'm like an indie author, I'm trying to support other indie authors. So, oh my gosh, I have a stack this high of independent author books at home that I'm gonna read, and the problem becomes, if I don't like it, do I just not write a review for this person? Do I just not talk about it? So I do kind of go back and forth with that. I did get my first bad review the other day, and it was from someone that was like, ghosts are stupid. I was like, well, I don't know why you read my book. But they had listened to, on TikTok, I was giving away promo codes for my audiobook. So they were like, I love audiobooks. Let me read. So they listened to the book, and they gave me a 1 on performance, and they gave me a 2 on the book. And I knew that it was going to happen sometime. And I was told that I'm in good company now, and I'm a legit real author, because even really good books out here that are sitting on these shelves have 1-star reviews and 2-star reviews and 3-star reviews, and not everyone is going to like my book. That's just impossible. So I think had you read it and given me constructive feedback, I would have been totally cool with it and took criticism pretty well. So I probably could have handled it from you, and it probably would have been really good. Because you're a reader and you're a writer. Are you writing, by the way? Okay. Tammy also needs to write and publish a book. Again, I appreciate, I'm trying to like make eye contact with everyone here. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. This experience has been, I don't even know what I thought was going to happen after I published this book. I did not think, oh my God, you have to sell it now. You don't talk about it, no one's going to know about it. Everything's on me. So if you want to help me in any way, go for it. And now I just had no clue what I was in for and up against, and seeing my book on Amazon, seeing my book on Barnes & Noble, which was like, I pretty much freaked out, because obviously I worked at Barnes & Noble for 9 years, was selling books and putting books on tables and all the things, and Yvonne ordered my book in for the Glendale store that I used to work at, which pregnant with Zoe while I was working there, because I left here to go to Glendale. And to see my book on like the table, was just like surreal. And I appreciate Yvonne so much for that. I owe her a dinner. And Andy for just being related to her by proxy. I'll take the kids too. And Meg for helping me, just resharing all my posts. My family for always being supportive. Not once do I ever remember either of my parents telling me, do not major in creative writing. I don't think that ever came out of their mouths. I don't think they ever told me not to follow my dreams. I hope that Hunter has been listening to me. And that Zoe will one day stop feeling cringe at their mom for talking about her book all the time, because that's all I do. And that they will see this as an opportunity to also follow their dreams and to do the thing that they love. And Hunter is on his phone. This is just a sign of like how my kids feel about me being a writer and doing this thing. But I am beyond grateful for you all being here, and I appreciate it very much. If you would like me to sign your book, I would love to sign your book and get a picture with you. There's books here. If you haven't bought one, you can go downstairs and get one and come back up and I will sign it. Thank you guys very much.